Canelo is ducking. Canelo is avoiding fighters. Canelo is avoiding American fighters. Canelo is scared of this fighter. Canelo is picking the easiest path. And of course, they follow up these things by saying, I'm just keeping it real. I'm just being honest. It's just the truth. If you don't like what I'm saying, it's because you are a Canelo lover. It's because you're in bed with Canelo, with the sheets covering the both of you. You have posters of Canelo on your wall. You worship the ground Canelo lives on because you won't admit the truth. This, of course, is a tactic that's been used by a lot of detractors of Saul Canelo Alvarez. Let's first stigmatize being a fan of Canelo in any way, shape, or form, or even just admitting what seems to be an obvious truth, that he's fighting the best opposition compared to the rest of his peers in the sport of boxing. It's hard to tackle every single thing that's thrown at Canelo because it's thrown from so many different areas, but let's concentrate on one of the most recent ones. Canelo came out and said the following. He said, look, I can't fight everybody. I am busy. Pretty reasonable thing to say because he is busy. He's going to be fighting Bivol in May. September, probably Triple G if he gets past Morocco. Look, things like heaviest is the hand that holds the crown. If Canelo is the face of boxing, he needs to be expected to face everybody. Why did he say such a horrible thing like he can't fight everybody? Maybe it's because this isn't Dickstown. I don't know, but let's go ahead and break this down. Like, what if this was the mentality in every other? So, for example, just let's kind of analyze this for a little bit. Let's say LeBron James every year, many consider him the best player in the NBA. In fact, he's so good, some even whisper that he's better than MJ. But we don't want to start that debate right now. But if LeBron James, just imagine a scenario where the NBA didn't do its usual playoffs. No season, no playoffs, no, heaviest is the hand that holds the crown. You, LeBron, need to face all the teams. Imagine if the response was, just for a second, try to imagine this, right? Close your eyes and try to imagine this following response. And you tell me if it sounds ridiculous or not. Up to you. Let's say LeBron said, hey, while I'm facing this team over here for the Western Conference Championship, maybe those two top teams over there can face each other in the Eastern Conference Championship, and then the winners could face each other, right? Wouldn't that be a great logical, thing to do? They face the best, I face the best, and then the best of the best face each other for a championship? Wouldn't that make sense?
No, LeBron, that would not make sense, LeBron. Heaviest is the hand that holds the crown. How dare you do something despicable like suggest that the two top teams in the East need to face each other in order to face you? How despicable is that? A real king, King LeBron, would be to face them both. Why don't you face them? Why are you trying to push those two top teams to face each other? You piece of shit, LeBron. Why are you such a piece of shit like that? That's stupid. You see, this is the problem. People want to compare him to MJ. They want to compare him to all these, they want to say he's the best player in the league, but he's over here suggesting that those two teams got to face each other and the winner face him. How ridiculous is that?
Oh no, Batista, you understand, that's a team sport. I'm talking about mano y mano, one-on-one type of sport. Fine. Let's try to imagine Rafael Nadal playing at the U.S. Open. And then all of a sudden, something happens. All the other players want to face Nadal in the final, saying they deserve it. Nadal has finished his side of the bracket and is ready to face whoever in the final. And then people start saying the following. Oh, Nadal, you have to face and beat all these 6 finalists from the other side of the bracket. Let's say Nadal says, well, why don't they face each other? And then the winner of that side of the bracket faces me.
Oh, Nadal, how dare you suggest such a stupid thing? Heaviest is the hand that holds the crown. A real champion will face all these 6 and eliminate them himself. How dare you suggest that they need to face each other and get to that position?
Just think about how ridiculous it sounds when you put other sports. When you talk about other sports, just look at how ridiculous that sounds, how ridiculous that looks. These other fighters have been doing the equivalent of facing non-playoff teams, but they want to play in a Super Bowl. They want to play in the NBA Finals. They want to be in the final of Wimbledon or the US Open without actually doing anything to get there. Complaining about who Canelo has fought is comparable to complaining about who LeBron has played in his side of the bracket. It will be comparable to complaining about who Rafael Nadal played on his side of the bracket and saying, oh, well, why don't I get a chance? Why don't I get to face him? Well, here's the reality. Canelo is simply suggesting, while I face Bivol, while I'm busy fighting him and getting rid of Triple G, in the meantime, why don't you guys face each other and we could start this process of elimination already? Why don't you build some equity? Why don't you bring something to the table? Oh, but what did Yildirim bring to the table? This is getting tiring. Again, that's the equivalent of complaining who LeBron beat in the first round of the playoffs, okay, and suggesting that you don't need to go through the bracket yourself because of it. That is utterly ridiculous. A lot of these guys were just in between fights for Canelo. Like, he fought 3 times in a matter of 6 months. And the Yildirim fight was the fight in the middle. To keep complaining about that is ridiculous. And none of these guys are going to take just the $3 million that Yildirim, believe it or not, got paid. None of them are going to face Canelo for that amount of money. They're simply full of shit. The whole, well, you're the face of this, you're the face of that. LeBron is the face of the NBA. He still needs to play through the playoffs. So does every other team. At one point, Tom Brady, in order to get to the Super Bowl, he had to go through the playoffs. The argument of, well, you face X, therefore I should be able to play in the final and reap all the benefits and get the whole payday out of it, is utterly ridiculous.